Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Phoebe and today I'm going to be tier ranking every book I read in 2023. I ended up reading a total of 80 books this year. It's currently the 29th of December when I'm filming this, and I don't foresee me really finishing another book by the end of the year. I'm reading a couple but I don't think I'll finish them. So we're going to kind of put the cutting point of the year here and say that I've read 80 books. Hopefully you should now be able to see my iPad screen and me. If I keep looking down, it's because I'm doing this on my iPad and I've got it like here in front of me, but I'll try and look at the camera as much as I can. So we're just going to go in the order that they are on the tier ranker. These aren't the order that I read the books in, it's just put them in a random order, but we will just start with the order that they have put them in. I am also going to rank them within the tiers, so I'll talk through the tiers quickly in a sec. But I'm going to put them in the right tier, but I'm going to try and put them in order within each tier, if that makes sense. So by the end of the video, we should actually have like my top books, my bottom books, and all the ones in between in order. So my top tier is 6 out of 5 stars. These are like the best of the best. I haven't forgotten them. They've stuck with me ever since I read them. New all-time favourites. Love is books that I really enjoyed. I might even have given them 5 stars, but they're just not quite that kind of 6-star feeling where it's like this is going to be my favourite, one of my favourite books of all time. Like is pretty self-explanatory. Books that I really enjoyed, probably sitting at around a 3.5, 4 kind of star. Really like them but not necessarily kind of up there with the best. Enjoyable but forgettable. Enjoyed it when I read it but not really thought about it since. Meh is books that I didn't hate, I didn't like, I just didn't have any kind of feelings towards them. Get Out of My Sight is my least favourite books, the books that I really didn't like. And then I've got a tier at the bottom for DNFs, because I did DNF quite a few books this year. I'm really trying to be in my era of, if I don't like it and I'm like halfway through, just DNF. So the first one that we've got on here is The Long Game by Elena Armas, I don't know how to say that in my accent. I'm going to put this in love. It's probably going to end up near the bottom of this tier, but I did really love this. I really didn't like The American Roommate Experiment, to be honest. I read that last year and I think I gave it like 2 stars or 3, but I really didn't enjoy it. But I loved The Spanish Love Deception. So when I heard that Elena was coming out with another book, I was like, I'm going to give it a go and just kind of hope that it's more along the lines, enjoyment-wise, as The Spanish Love Deception was. This isn't anything like The Spanish Love Deception, but I really enjoyed it. It had great vibes, really cosy. I don't think about it all the time, it's not like a new all-time favourite, but I definitely have thought about it since reading it. The next one is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I'm going to put that in love as well, but that's going to end up near the top of the love tier. I would put Icebreaker. Did I read Icebreaker this year or last year? I can't even remember when I read it. If it's in there, we'll get to it. I would put Icebreaker in 6 out of 5. But Wildfire, I gave it like 4.75. I really enjoyed it. But it's just not quite kind of knocking into the favourite books of all time territory like Icebreaker did. But I really enjoyed Wildfire. It was great vibes. Again, just like a really cosy. Sorry, my hair is really getting on my nerves. I'm going to go put my hair up and I'll be back. Okay, we're back and the hair is up. It's much better, much less irritating. Anyway, Wildfire, loved it. Not a new favourite of all time, but really good read. Next one, Love Redesign by Lauren Asher. A very similar vein to those two. Really enjoyed reading this. I listened to it on audio on Spotify and like really got through it quite quick. Really enjoyed it. Not a new favourite of all time, but absolutely loved it and really can't wait for the sequel. Next one is Reckless by Elsie Silver. I'm going to put that even above Wildfire. I do love the Chestnut Spring series, but the last 2 books in particular, I just adore them. We will get to Hopeless in a minute. Actually, I'll just grab Hopeless now. I think I'm going to put Hopeless after Reckless, but I really enjoyed both of them. They were very close to being 5 stars. Definitely my favourite 2 of the series. I know a lot of people didn't actually love Hopeless. I really did. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, they are very near the top of my love category. Next one was The Graham Effect. I'm going to put it in meh. I didn't love Ryder. I know a lot of people do. I just don't. Yeah, this didn't hit the same because I love the Off-Campus series so much. This just didn't kind of get me in the same way that the Off-Campus series did, which is a shame because I was really looking forward to this. But it wasn't bad. There was nothing in it that I was like, oh my god, this is awful, but yeah, just didn't hit the same. The next one is The Playlist. Who's it by? Morgan Elizabeth. This is actually the 5th book in a series, like a interconnected standalone series. I've only read this one, I didn't read the rest of them. It is a romance book with a lot of Taylor Swift references in it. They are very overt references and it is quite a cringy book. If you're cringed out easily, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you just want something that's like really cute and fun with like some quite cringy Taylor Swift references, not that Taylor Swift is cringy, I love Taylor Swift, but the way that these references were done was definitely a bit cringy. But I just kind of looked past it and I really liked it. It was really sweet, so it was enjoyable but quite forgettable. I don't think about it often, but I enjoyed it when I read it. The next one I picked up on a whim in Waterstones one day because I like horses and it had a horse on the cover. Unfortunately, get out my sight, it was awful. It was like this author sat down and was like, how many minority groups can I offend? All of them. And then put all of those offensive things in this book. They were quite subtle. I feel like a lot of people would probably read this and not necessarily pick up on it, but I just couldn't get past it. It was also just a bit boring and ridiculous. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. Gillian? I don't know how you say that in my accent again, sorry. Meh. This is probably quite an unpopular opinion. I can see why people would enjoy this. I really can. I think I only read it this year and obviously it's been out such a long time. The film's out. It's kind of been done and talked about. I think if I'd have read this when it first came out and when the kind of popular thriller genre was a bit more new, I might have enjoyed it a bit more. But even as someone that doesn't read that many thrillers, I don't know, it just didn't get me. I knew what was going to happen. I'd been spoiled, obviously my own fault because I left it so long to read it. So I think that was probably part of it as well, the fact that I knew what the ending was going to be. So unfortunately it just didn't really hit for me. The next one's City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. Again, meh. I really want to get into Cassandra Clare. I uploaded a book haul a few days ago and I've got her new book, Swordcatcher, and I want to read that. I've decided that if I read that and enjoy it and still like her writing style, I'm going to go back to the Shadowhunters universe and try and read it. But I'm finding the Mortal Instruments quite difficult to get through. Nothing to do with her writing, I just don't like the plot. So I think I might, if I want to read the later Shadowhunters books, I'm just going to have to push through the plot of the Mortal Instruments, especially the first 3, to get to the good bits. But yeah, it was very meh for me. I didn't particularly enjoy it. Pretty Little Liars by Sarah Shepherd. I DNF'd. Love the TV show, but the book was not it. It was so annoying, so I ended up just DNFing. Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer. I'm going to put that after The Graham Effect. It was fine, but it just, I don't know, I was expecting to be kind of kicking my feet and giggling a lot more than I was, and I definitely was at the beginning. At the beginning it is very much like boy obsessed, like he can't believe he's around this girl kind of thing, and that was so cute. But I felt like that fizzled out and went away a bit too quickly. I wanted a bit more of that kind of obsession and that tension throughout the book, and I just didn't get that. It wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't as bad for me as like City of Ashes and Gone Girl. I did enjoy it, but it was just a bit meh. I don't know. I feel like maybe I should move The Graham Effect and Behind the Net to enjoyable but forgettable, but just put them near the bottom of that tier. I think that fits better. The next one, The Summer I Turned Pretty, enjoyable but forgettable. Where would I put this? Yeah, I think Behind the Net is correct. I enjoyed most of the book, but the ending, it just got very heavy very quick. I've tried to watch the TV show and I don't really like that either. I am going to try again because everyone loves it, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm 25. Am I just a bit old for The Summer I Turned Pretty? I don't know. I'm not usually too old for things. I quite like YA books, but yeah, it just didn't really stick with me. I didn't necessarily see the hype as much as most people do. Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I absolutely adored this book. It was so good. I'm going to put it after Wildfire, I think. Yeah, that feels right. This is the cutest cowboy romance ever. After I finished the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver, I was a bit like, oh, what do I do now? I'm out of cowboy romances. And this like filled that spot really nicely. It's such a good book. It's on Kindle Unlimited, at least in the UK. Definitely recommend, such a good book. Next one, I'm gonna skip the first one because the first one in the line, because every time I press it my iPad screen goes funny, so I am gonna come back to Collide later, but I'm gonna skip to Caught Up. I'm gonna put Caught Up, I think, at the top of enjoyable. Or do I put it in like? No, I'm going to put it in like, because I did like it. I'm not as obsessed with the Windy City series as I think a lot of people are. That's not me saying it's not good. It is a good series. I would recommend reading it. But I just feel like the books are a bit long. They just get too long and they all get a bit repetitive in the middle because of the length of them. The premise is great, the characters are great, the writing is really good. So if you don't mind a bit of a longer romance, I definitely recommend them. But just kind of prepare yourself that, in my opinion, they get a little bit repetitive in the middle. Next one, Conspiracy of Blood and Smoke. This is a historical fiction. I do love a bit of historical fiction. I don't read as much of it now as I used to, but I do really enjoy it. I'm going to put that in like as well. It's the second one in a duology. I read the first one a couple of years ago now. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Set in World War II, about a girl who eventually meets a boy, and they are fleeing Nazi Germany, and the main girl she's described as Hitler's pet. So she was friends with Hitler and Eva. Eva, is that how you say it? She was friends with them, and she's kind of escaping that life once she sees who Hitler really is. So it is really interesting. It is fictional, but I think parts of it are definitely based on real events, as historical fiction tends to be. But yeah, it is a fiction story, but there's definitely kind of elements of truth in there, I feel like. Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Enjoyable but forgettable. Where shall I put it? I'll put it at the bottom because I really have forgot it more than I've forgot all the other ones in that tier so far. I think this was the book of hers that has an open ending, where you don't actually get told what happens. It's like you follow, the chapters alternate between two different kind of alternate realities, is that the way to describe it? Just two different possible ways that this woman's life could have gone based on one choice that she made. And it was really interesting. I did really enjoy it, but I've not really thought about it since. City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. Just going to pop that with City of Ashes. Exactly the same kind of opinions. Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I'm going to put it at the top of enjoyable but forgettable. I think I gave it 4 stars when I read it. I did really quite like it, but I just don't think about it, and I'm not sure I will carry on with the series. Not because it was bad, but just because I've not really thought about it. I don't feel compelled to kind of go on and read the rest of that series. When Dimple Met Rishi, I'm going to put it at the top of meh. It was fine. Again, it was a book that came out quite a long time ago, so I feel like maybe it's just not the type of romance I look for. I do, at the minute, I'm very much in the mood for, like, I'm actually in a fantasy era at the minute, but the romances I've been reading for the last year or so are kind of the very typical tropey kind of romances. So I feel like this just isn't the type of romance I am in the mood for at the minute, but it wasn't a bad book. And the main characters are Indian, so it was really interesting to read from the point of view of a character that isn't kind of the same white, typically blonde woman that we always see in romance books, so that was really nice. But ultimately the story just didn't really kind of stick with me. Maybe I should put it, no, I'm going to put it at the bottom of enjoyable but forgettable, because I did enjoy it when I read it. And as I said, the aspects of the main characters being Indian was actually really interesting. And now I'm going to do the whole Mindfuck series all together. I'm going to put it in, like, these probably aren't going to be in order, by the way. I'm just going to, I mean, like, in the order of how the series goes. There's also another one, I'm sure, yeah, down there. I'm going to put these all in like. I did really like them. Just please beware if you go into this, they are very graphic. Do be aware of that if you do choose to read this book, that there is on page, you know. But it is a very enjoyable series. It's a dark romance between a serial killer and an FBI agent that is trying to find said serial killer, but obviously doesn't know that his girlfriend is a serial killer. I like them together. I like the characters. It's a really interesting story. So I definitely recommend if you are okay with on page, you know. Next we've got Moxie. I DNF'd this. I don't think this is a bad book. I think I'm just a bit old for it. It's a book about, kind of about feminism, about the experience of a teenage girl, or kind of just teenage girls in general, dealing with everyday misogyny. And I think it's a very important book. I think particularly for younger readers it'd be great, but it's a very, how do I describe it? It's not very nuanced, which is fine because it's written for younger people, it makes sense. But for me, someone who's already like experienced that misogyny, I just wasn't really gaining anything from the story, so I stopped reading it. But I think for younger readers it would be a really good eye-opener for young girls to kind of see what's going on around them and understand that a lot of the stuff they go through, they shouldn't have to go through it, and it is misogyny. Next, why is the Summer I Turned Pretty on here again? Oh, the other one was It's Not Summer Without You. Exactly the same thing. I'm just going to plonk that series together. Enjoyable but forgettable. In fact, no, I'm going to move It's Not Summer Without You down to get out of my sight. I'm going to put it in front of $1 Horse. But I really didn't like the second one. I've not read the third one in the series yet because I'm still absolutely fuming at the second one. I hated it. It was just everyone arguing for a whole book. Everyone just arguing and crying. No, not for me. But the songwriting pretty. Enjoyable but forgettable. Ghosted by, is it J.M. Darhauer? Is that how you say it? I think so. I'm going to put that in like after the Mindfuck series. This is a bit of a, it's not particularly a massively triggering romance. It definitely touches on addiction and alcohol use and things like that, but it's not so much on the page. It's that those things happened in the past and one of our two main characters trying to overcome that and trying to get back into the life of our female main character. It's not kind of a happy, upbeat romance. It definitely feels a bit more real and a bit more raw. It's not so rom-com-y as a lot of the romances on here, but I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend if you are in the mood for a little bit of a sadder romance, but it has a happy ending. It's not going to like completely break your heart, but if you're just in the mood for something a little bit more, I don't know, just kind of real and mature. There is a kid in this book, which I know people don't always like, but it didn't bother me. I don't always like kids in books either, but it didn't bother me in this book, so just so you're aware in case you really don't like kids in books. Next one, The Kiss Quotient. I'm going to put that in enjoyable but forgettable. Where shall I put it? I think I'll pop it, did I enjoy it more than The Graham Effect? I don't think I did. I'm going to put it there. I did quite enjoy The Kiss Quotient. I think I gave it like 3 stars. It took me a while to get into the story, definitely, but I enjoyed that the main character was autistic. It was, again, nice to just read from someone that's not the same heroine. Obviously the heroines in romance are different, but you know what I mean. It's just nice to read from someone different whose mind works differently, just to get a bit more of an insight into that. I found that really nice, but on the whole it's not, the story and the romance hasn't particularly stuck with me. I wasn't the biggest fan of the male main character or the couple, but I did really like the female main character. Flatshare by Beth O'Leary, I DNF'd. I know quite a lot of people really like this book. It just wasn't for me. I just didn't really get on with it. What bothers me about Beth O'Leary books, because I've DNF'd like 3 of them. We've got The Switch here, I DNF'd that as well. The Switch was a bit different actually. I just got a bit bored of it. But my problem with Beth O'Leary romance books is that the 2 I've read, so I could be wrong, this might not be a common theme, but she seems to always be, the female main character, seems to always be hung up on an ex at the beginning, which doesn't always bother me in romance, but it, oh my god, it just, the way that Beth O'Leary writes it doesn't work for me. It doesn't set up nicely for me for the romance that is going to ensue later in the books. So I've decided Beth O'Leary is not the author for me. I know a lot of people love her writing, love that for you, but she's just one of those authors that unfortunately just doesn't work for me. Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I'm going to put this in love. I really enjoyed this. I'm not typically a sci-fi reader. I don't think I'd ever read a sci-fi book before I read Skyward, but I really enjoyed it, and the last instalment in the series has just come out, so I'm excited to read that at some point, hopefully in Jan or Feb. But yeah, I really enjoy it. If you're also looking to get into sci-fi, I would definitely recommend the Skyward series. It's really accessible. It's definitely very sci-fi, like it's set in space and there's kind of alien creatures and things like that that come in the series, but it's very accessible. It's not, I didn't find it complicated, and I get confused quite easily in books, in new worlds and things, but I found Skyward really quite accessible and easy to understand. What have we got next? Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I'm going to put that at the bottom of enjoyable but forgettable. I can't tell you anything that happened in that book, nor anything about the characters, so sorry, but I think that proves that it was very forgettable. Ace of Spades. I'm going to put that in like. I did like it. This is a book that is set in a really prestigious school, and it's basically a book about racism. About it, definitely towards the end gets quite extreme. I would check trigger warnings, but yeah, it's a book about racism in a school, and it is about racism in a school, but I also think it's kind of a metaphor or a bit of commentary on racism in general and how it affects society and obviously the black community and specifically teenage and things. So I definitely give it a go. As I said, towards the end it definitely just gets a bit kind of out of nowhere. It's like, oh, what's happening? But a really not enjoyable read, a really enlightening read. Next we've got Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. I'm just going to put that with Skyward up there. Skyward was definitely my favourite of the series so far. The other two weren't quite as good as Skyward, but I'd still put them in love. I really enjoyed the whole series. Where is the other one? I don't know, we'll grab the other one later. Beach Read by Emily Henry. I'm going to put it in like, where shall I put it in like? I'm going to put it after Ghosted. So I liked most of Beach Read. I, however, did not like the third act conflict. I can't say it or else it will be a spoiler, and I won't give any spoilers for any of these books. But it didn't sit right with me. The decision that he had to make, the fact that he even had to think about that situation, personally for me, I just didn't like it. But I loved most of the book. Next we've got Fable and we'll do Namesake while we're here as well by Adrienne Young. I'm going to put these at the top of enjoyable but forgettable because I've only read them recently. I finished Namesake. I think I might have actually just finished it like yesterday or the day before. But I don't really foresee myself thinking about these books very often in the future. I gave the first one 3 stars and the second one 3.5. So these aren't in order of rating. I might only be putting them before Renegades because I read them more recently. They are good. I can see why people would be obsessed with this series. The world that Adrienne Young has created is beautiful. Just the kind of relationships and the friendships didn't grab me. They felt a little bit underdeveloped to me, but overall I really enjoyed both of those. Kingdom of the Wicked, I'm going to put you at the bottom of Meh. It could go at the top and get out of my sight, to be honest. I ended up giving it 2 stars, probably should have just DNF'd. I really didn't enjoy Kingdom of the Wicked. Again, it's a very popular book. If it sounds interesting to you, give it a go. But it just didn't end up working for me at all. Dirty Letters by V. Keelan and Penelope Ward. Again, I'm going to put that at the bottom of Meh. I can't even say the things that happen in this book. I don't actually feel comfortable saying them out loud on the internet. Weird book. Very odd. Definitely better romances out there. Please read them instead of this. It was odd. Wrecked by Lauren Asher, I DNF'd. The only book I've managed to finish in the Dirty Air series is the first one, and I gave that 3 stars. I DNF'd the second one, and I've ended up also DNFing the third one. I love Lauren Asher's newer books. I've read the Dreamland Billionaire series, it's just there behind me. As you've already seen, I love Redesigned, and I can't wait for the next one in the Lakefront Billionaire series to come out. But for some reason the Dirty Air series just doesn't seem to be working for me, so I think I'm going to give up on the Dirty Air series now. Yeah, it's just not for me. Next we've got Heartstopper. This is going straight up to 6 out of 5. Heartstopper is one of, if not my favourite series ever. I love the Netflix show, I love the books. Chef's Kiss, obsessed. Collided, again DNF, same reasons as before. It just doesn't work for me. I don't love the writing in that series. The male characters irritate me to no end. Just not for me. Now we've got the first 3 books in the Addicted series, which is all I've read so far. I do have some of the others there, and I am going to carry it on next year. But for now I've only read the first 3. I'm going to put Addicted to You, I think, in like. Where shall I put it in like? I think I'm going to put it after the Mindfuck series, before Ghosted. I did like Addicted to You enough that I'm obviously carrying on with the rest of the series. I think it was probably my favourite of the 3 I've read so far. I think I'd also put Ricochet in like, but maybe just a bit lower down. I'm going to pop it after Ghosted. And then Addicted for now was my least favourite of 3. I'm going to put it at the bottom of like, because I did still enjoy it. I didn't consider like DNFing or anything. But I found Lily really annoying for some reason in Addicted for now. I think she was just written really young. I don't know. She irritated me. The way that she spoke sounded like a 6-year-old quite a lot of the time. Which, particularly in the context of the book and what they're about, just odd. Next we've got You and Me on Vacation. I'm going to put this in like as well. I liked this more than Beach Read. Where shall I put it? I might put that in front of Ghosted. I did quite enjoy You and Me on Vacation. More of the classic kind of romance vibe than in Beach Read. A Dowry of Blood, is that what it's called? Get Out My Sight. Where shall I put it? I'll put it there. God, this was weird. This, again, it's a really beloved book, and I just did not beloved it at all. not for me. I gave it like 0.5. If I could have given it 0, I probably would. Again, a book that I should have DNF'd, but it was just weird. Just like they're all kissing and like sleeping with each other, but then in the same breath they're saying like, oh, I'm like a mother and they're my sons, but like you've just snogged him. What do you mean? Weird vibes. The Animal Crossing manga I DNF'd. It was just weird. Too much snot. They just kept talking about snot, and like, I'm missing with that. I'm alright, so I DNF'd. Here we go, Cytonic by Brandon Sanderson, the 3rd book in the Skyward series. I'm going to put that in like rather than love, but I'm going to put it at the top of like, because I did really enjoy it. But in this book, I won't spoil it, but in this book, the main character Spencer is kind of on her own more rather than with the group of friends and like the found family vibe, which I love the found family vibe in these books. Did I say that right? Found family vibe. Whereas in this book, she was a lot more independent. We definitely see the other characters, but yeah, I'm excited because Brandon Sanderson has said that, I'm pretty sure in Defiant, the last one, they all kind of are back together more, so I'm excited for that. Next one, Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, I DNF'd because this grown man on like page 20 stomped his foot. Like just stomped his foot because he wasn't getting his own way. No. Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I'm going to put it at the top of meh. I was enjoying it, great summer vibes, until the plot twist. Not for me. Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I really enjoyed this book. I'm going to put it in love, but probably at the bottom of love. Definitely different to the romances I typically read. It's more of a literary fiction romance rather than the classic romance, but I really loved it. Loved the characters, loved the relationship, loved the setting, side plot. Really enjoyed it. Next we've got Set on You by Amy Lee. This was enjoyable but forgettable. I'd probably put it a bit higher up than that. Maybe like here. I did enjoy it whilst I was reading it. It was fine, but I don't think I've ever thought about it a day since. Next we've got Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey. Read this a few days ago. Enjoyable but forgettable again. Where shall I put it? I might put it after the Kiss Quotient. Again, fine. Little cute romance. It's less than 250 pages, so it's definitely not the most developed romantic relationship I've ever read in a book, but it was fine, enjoyable, nice little Christmas vibe, very quick read. Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I love Ali Hazelwood's books. I'm a bit behind on them because I don't want to read them and run out, but I know she's coming out, I think, with like 2 books already scheduled for next year, so I really need to catch up. I've not even read Love theoretically yet, but I love Love on the Brain. Where shall I put this? I might even put it like up here because I really enjoyed it. It's just the humour gets me every time in Ali Hazelwood's books. I find them so funny, and just kind of the banter and the back and forth between the characters I always really enjoy. Next we've got Under One Roof. Where shall I'm going to put it in like, even though it was a novella and it was quite short, I'm going to put it at the bottom of like because I don't necessarily think about it very often, but again it's just Ali Hazelwood's writing I always really enjoy. When in Rome by Sarah Adams. Enjoyable but forgettable. Again, I liked it when I read it. I'm going to put it at the top of enjoyable but forgettable because it was really cute, but I don't think about it. Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. So I read the whole Twisted series. I must have read the rest of them last year and read this one this year. The first 3 were fine-ish. I think I gave them all like 2 or 3 stars. I didn't hate any of them, but I didn't like love or really think about or remember them. So hence why there was a bit of a break between me reading those and eventually picking up Twisted Lies. But I finally picked it up, I think it was quite early on this year, and I really enjoyed it. I only put it in enjoyable but forgettable to sort my hair out. It's actually a love. I really enjoyed this. I gave it like 4.5. It was the perfect kind of grumpy, overprotective hero, but without being an arsehole. He definitely is a bit of an arse, but the way that he treats Stella is just so cute. I mean, is it cute? It just kind of border on stalker vibes sometimes, but like not an actual stalker. Not like real stalker. Just a little bit. But it was, yeah, really great. Really enjoyed. Next we've got The Serpent and the Wings of the Night. I read this, was it last week or the week before? I'm going to put it in like, I did like it. I ended up having to switch the audiobook like halfway through to get through it. And once I switched to audio, I enjoyed it a lot more. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It's not one of my favourite fantasies. I find the world a little bit underdeveloped. I think the things we need to know early on to understand the stakes aren't necessarily explained enough. I know we all hate info dumps in books, but I think we probably could have done with just a little bit of an info dump with this one to understand the relationships between like the different breeds, types of vampire, and the different houses and stuff. I don't necessarily understand that very well, but it was enjoyable. The romance was quite good. I do like the main characters and I do like them together, so I am currently in the middle of the second one. I'll probably end up finishing that at the beginning of next year. Next we've got Mile High by Liz Tomford. Tom Ford, I think it's Tom Ford. This is the first book in the Windy City series, and controversially my favourite. Everyone seems to hate this one. Really love the second one, which is The Right Move, and then Light Caught Up. My favourite was Mile High. It still was a bit repetitive in the middle, it was still too long, but I don't know, I just really like Stevie and Sanders. I did like the other two, Right Move and Caught Up, but Mile High was my favourite out of the three. Have we got the other one in here somewhere? Yeah, we've got The Right Move. We'll just grab that while we're talking about that series. I think I would put The Right Move third out of the three. Mile High first, then Caught Up, then The Right Move. And what I think is the last book in this series is coming out next year, so I probably will end up reading that at some point. Stolen Air by Holly Black. Meh. It took me so long to get through this. I so nearly DNF. The only reason I didn't is because I probably will read the second one in the duology. My problem with this is that I've discovered I don't particularly enjoy fantasies where they're on a journey for the whole thing. If I'm in a fantasy, I like to just be in a world and in a place and really build it. And I understand that it's in the same world as the Cruel Prince trilogy, which I'm obsessed with, by the way. I get that. I get that the world is already established, but I feel like Holly Black maybe relied a bit too much on the prior knowledge we have about Oak and about the world, which we have a lot about the world. We don't have that much about Oak, I don't feel. I think she maybe just relied on that a bit much, and I would have liked if they would have stayed somewhere that wasn't a muddy forest with loads of moss for like just a few pages, just to kind of start building up. But at the end of the book, I won't spoil anything, but they do settle somewhere at the end, so I'm hoping that the second one in the duology will kind of just stay in one place and just build up a new part of the world a little bit more. Jasper Vale by Devney Perret. This was enjoyable but forgettable. I'd probably put it here. It was fine, definitely not my favourite in the Eden series. I've kind of given up on the Eden series now. I actually DNF'd Crimson River. I'll probably put it at the top of DNF, because if I had to choose one from that tier to carry on with, I'd probably choose that. But the first two books in the Eden series I was obsessed with. I thought it was going to be one of my favourite series ever. I love the setting of the Eden's books. But I don't know what it is. The stories, the characters, the relationships, just as the series has gone on, have gone so downhill for me. I just can't. The last one's out, and I'll probably try and read it, but yeah, there's just something that's not hitting the same. Fourth Wing. Now, this is difficult because when I read this, I was obsessed with it. And if we're taking the book in isolation, it's a 6 out of 5 stars. However, since reading this, Rebecca Yaros's her views on the Israel-Palestine conflict is not the same as mine. Not great at all. So that has obviously massively clouded my views on the book. I heard about that just after Iron Flame came out, and yeah, obviously I find it hard, and I don't necessarily think we should separate the views of any kind of artist or person from their work. I find it hard to do that, and I don't think we necessarily should do that anyway, which has massively soured my opinions on Fourth Wing. So I don't know what to do with it. We'll put it there. We'll leave it in 6 out of 5, because if we're taking the book on its own, it is. But I just want to make it clear that I don't agree with the author. I'm not planning to talk about this book beyond this. It was very hyped, obviously, when it came out, and when I read it, I was like not shutting up about it before I even started BookTube. But now I'm not going to mention it from now on. I'm not going to promote it. I don't foresee myself carrying on with the series really either. Yeah, the second thing that clouded it is the second book. I didn't love Iron Flame. I think I gave it 4.5, but I don't really know why I did that, because I hated the ending. I hated the ending of Iron Flame. I won't say what it is, but I hated it. There's so many directions the series could have gone in, and it is going to be a 5-book series, so it's obviously going to get resolved, but yeah, I didn't like the ending of Iron Flame. I don't like her views on Israel and Palestine. So it's just, yeah, we're just going to not talk about those books anymore. Have we got just Iron Flame just while we're here, just so I can not talk about it again. I'll put it in like somewhere. I'll put it after Cytonic because I did enjoy it until the ending. Next we've got Final Offer by Lauren Asher, the final book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. I did like this. It was definitely a different tone to the first two. Definitely a bit more heavy than I was expecting. I thought this would be a very light, very fluffy book because of Cal's character, but it isn't. But I still did enjoy it quite a lot. I would probably put it there in the like one. Last few, I'm going to have to be quick because I think I'm going to run out of storage on my camera. Things we hide from the light. Unpopular opinion, I love this. This is the second book in the Knock 'em Out series, and I think a lot of people don't like it. I personally really enjoyed that one. Next we've got When Gracie Met the Grump by Mariana Zapata. I say her name so weird because of my accent, I'm sorry. I didn't love this one. I liked it. I'll put it quite near the top of like, because I love her writing and I love her slow burns, but I just didn't love the story of this. Magnolia Parks, we'll do the whole series while we're here, but I think they are going to be different tiers. Magnolia Parks, when I read it I gave it 4 out of 5, but I have not stopped thinking about this book a day in my life since I read it. Magnolia Parks has got me in a straight up chokehold, so we're going to put it in 6 out of 5, even though I didn't give it even 5 out of 5. I would now if I was going to go back and change my rating. And then we'll do The Long Way Home, and then we'll do Daisy Hates. So The Long Way Home I'm going to put in love. Where shall I put it in love? I'm going to put it here between Done and Dusted. No, probably before Done and Dusted. I really like Magnolia and BJ. Daisy Hates. This is a difficult one because I'm going to put it right at the bottom of like, this is difficult because a lot of people actually prefer Daisy Hates. And I think were Daisy Hates a separate series, I would love it. But the problem is that because I personally prefer Magnolia and BJ, I spend the whole of the Daisy Hates book just waiting to get back to Magnolia and BJ. And I don't think I really absorb and enjoy Daisy Hates for what it is, which is a shame, but it's just how I feel. Coached by Devney Perry, get out of my sight. I hated this book. I did a very angry, ranty Goodreads review for this because I just hated it. It was awful. Don't read it. I mean, if you want to give it a go, do, but I wouldn't recommend. Birthday Kisses by Monica Murphy. This is just a novella in the, what's it called? I don't know what the series is called. The one about Lancaster Prep, that's it. Just a little novella that came out. I'm going to put it at the bottom of enjoyable but forgettable. I could not tell you a single thing that happened in it. Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. I really, really enjoyed this. I'm going to put it near the bottom of love. I've only read the first one, but I'm so excited to carry on with the series, and I think as we get into the series I can see this becoming like a favourite of all time as we get further into the books and into the story. Last Three, Daughter of Smoke and Bone, Get Out of My Sight. He is 50, she is I believe 17. We kind of get around this because he isn't a human, but I still find it weird that you're 50 and she is 17. Even if you don't look 50 or act 50, I don't care. I find it weird. Collide by Bal Cabra. I'm going to put this in at the top of enjoyable but forgettable. I did like it. I quite like the characters, but I don't know. There was just something about this that didn't kind of get me, but it was fine. It was an enjoyable read on Kindle Unlimited. And then Powerless by Elsie Silver. This is, I believe, no, definitely doesn't go in DNF. I believe is this Jasper and Sloane's book. I enjoyed this. I'm going to put it in the bottom of like. It was just less dramatic than the others. I mean, that's ridiculous because he does actually break her out of a wedding at the beginning. It was a very, very sweet romance. I really like the characters. I love them together. But out of the Chestnut Springs series, it's just the one that stuck with me the least for some reason. But I did really enjoy it. I definitely wouldn't say skip it at all if you're reading that series. I would definitely say give it a go. Actually, I think I've been a bit harsh. I don't think it should go at the bottom. Oh, my iPad's frozen. It won't let me move it. Oh, is it going to let me now? I would actually probably put this up here, to be fair. It was quite good. It just didn't stick with me, especially as much as the last two in the series. And that, I believe, is all 80 books that I read in 2023. I'll just quickly, well, slowly scroll through just so you can see where we've put them all. Pretty much in order, as I said, within the tiers. There might be a few that I would move if I was to look at it again, but on the whole, they are my ranked books of 2023. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was probably a long one because we had a lot of books to talk about. But thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please give it a thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. All my socials, if you are interested in seeing me elsewhere on the internet, are linked in the description down below. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!